No Canada, page 51. Part 2, Arts and Culture. Many Canadian artists, writers, poets, historians, educators, and musicians have achieved greatness at home and around the world. Lists of important artists, writers, poets, musicians, and filmmakers can be found in the Discover Canada guide on page 25. I've pasted some of that information into this slide, and I will read it for you. You won't find this in your No Canada book. Canadians have made significant contributions to literature in English and in French. Novelists, poets, historians, educators, and musicians have had a significant cultural impact. Men and women of letters included Stephen Leacock, Louis Hemon, Sir Charles G.D. Roberts, Pauline Johnson, Emile Nelligan, Robertson Davies, Margaret Lawrence, and Mordecai Richler. Musicians such as Sir Ernest Macmillan and Healy Williams won renown in Canada and abroad. Writers such as Joy Kogawa, Michael Ondaatje, and Rohinton Mistry have diversified Canada's literary experience. Sports are also important in Canada. Every province and territory has produced star athletes and Olympic medal winners. Canadians play on many professional teams in Canada, the United States, and in other countries. In ice hockey, Canada's official winter sport, Canadian players and teams are some of the best in the world. Wayne Gretzky has been called one of the greatest hockey players of all time. Professional hockey teams from Canada and the United States compete for the Stanley Cup. In football, another popular sport, Canadian teams compete for the Grey Cup. Lacrosse, an ancient Aboriginal game, is Canada's official summer sport. Here is an interesting sports fact. A Canadian, James Naismith, invented the game of basketball, which is very popular in the United States. Here in the pictures below, we have from left to right, Donovan Bailey, Chantal Petlark, Terry Fox, and Wayne Gretzky. I apologize if I didn't get Chantel's name properly. It's very hard to read in this image. These images also come from Discover Canada, which is the official guide for studying for the Canadian Citizenship Test. But the reading in that guide is more difficult than in this No Canada guide. And the No Canada guide includes all of the essential information that we need. Other important Canadians. In 1980, Terry Fox began a cross-country run called the Marathon of Hope to raise money for cancer research. He had lost a leg to cancer when he was 18. He was not able to finish his race because the cancer returned and he died. Every year, Canadians across the country organize marathons to remember Terry Fox and raise money for cancer research. In 1985, Rick Hansen circled the world in his wheelchair to raise money for spinal cord research. His world tour was called The Man in Motion. Page 52. Canadians have also made big contributions to science and technology, including medical research and telecommunications. In medicine, Sir Frederick Banting and Charles Best discovered insulin. This hormone is used to treat diabetes, and it has saved millions of lives around the world. Dr. Wilder Penfield was a pioneer brain surgeon. At the time, Dr. Penfield was known as the greatest living Canadian. Dr. John Hopps invented the cardiac pacemaker. I also clipped this image from the Discover Canada guide, which shows other contributions of Canadians. It says that Alexander Graham Bell hit on the idea of the telephone at his summer house in Canada. Joseph Armand Bombardier invented the snowmobile, a lightweight winter vehicle. Sir Sanford Fleming invented the worldwide system of standard time zones. Matthew Evans and Henry Woodward together invented the first electric light bulb and later sold the patent to Thomas Edison, who more famously commercialized the light bulb. Reginald Fessenden contributed to the invention of radio, sending the first wireless voice message in the world. Dr. Wilder Penfield, we already mentioned him. He was a pioneer in brain surgery at McGill University in Montreal and was known as the greatest living Canadian. Dr. John A. Hopps invented the first cardiac pacemaker used today to save the lives of people with heart disorders. SPAR Aerospace, or the National Research Council, invented the Canada Arm, a robotic arm used in outer space. Mike Lazarindis and Jim Balsillie of Research in Motion, RIM, a wireless communications company known for its most famous invention, the BlackBerry telephone. Page 52, some of this will be a repeat of the things that I read from the Discover Canada guide on the last slide. Alexander Graham Bell invented the telephone, and Mike Lazaridis and Jim Balsillie of Research in Motion invented the BlackBerry phone. Joseph Armand Bombardier invented the snowmobile, and today his company is important in transportation and aerospace production and research. Canadian astronauts participate in space exploration, often using the Canadian designed and built Canadarm. SPAR Aerospace and the National Research Council invented the Canadarm, which is a robotic arm used in space. Rebecca Bondar, Chris Hadfield, and our new Governor General, Julie Payette, are all Canadian astronauts. And that brings us to the question section on page 52 and completes our reading for this week.